Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 195 for the 31st of March, 2021.
That sounds better.
And looks like we are live. I'm getting now a picture. So
yes,
who's in the chat room?
We're on the air.
Woohoo! Who can confirm that they can see us? Well, that, of course, is Mr. Casey Green joining us from DC. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. I'm so glad that this thing's back online.
And it's not an April Fool's joke.
Yes.
Yeah. No fools on this show, right, Patrick?
That's right.
That's right, April or otherwise.
Patrick joins us from the West Coast. How are you today?
I am great. It is sunny. The batteries are full. We're feeding the grid and helping bring about a future free from fossil fuels. Yes.
There we go.
I got all the gigawatts.
Fantastic. 1.21. There you go.
I just got Dragon.
Nice.
And I got the CyberTruck shirt again. Yay!
Oh, yes. Nice. How many are you going to order?
35.
Whoa.
Doing my own fleet.
Cool.
They're only $100 deposits. I can afford that until I have to pay for them.
That part.
You can just do that with Bitcoin. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but Bitcoin
so
and Tesla stock, just hold it.
Yeah. Who did we get in the chat room first? Was that 010 showed up first?
Yes, 010 is first. He beat me this time.
Hey.
There you go. You get the gold star today, 010. Congratulations.
I assume that's for a zero footprint. Someone who's already in the future.
Already there. Exactly. Well, we got a ton of news, which is not surprising. So let's get started. Actually, is it Casey's taking our first story tonight, isn't he?
Yes, I am, actually. Mark had asked us how many of us had driven beyond zero range before. And I'd driven to zero range before. I haven't been below it yet because I didn't trust my cars. Mainly because my Model S 90D, it had some issues, which turned out to be that it needed a new battery pack. And so that was fun. And I got it. But it came out this past week, that Tesla was saying that the way to achieve the EPA range is to drive the car until you're past zero. And that doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, definitely not. And that's why I put out the question to the crew here is who has gone to zero or beyond zero? I, on my cross-country trip, I guess a year and a half ago, I got down to a low of 6 miles left in the tank. So, and that was between the stretch of coming into Salt Lake City, Utah, and I was after going through the salt flats. So, and I was watching the car, of course, let you know as you get down to a range. It knows where your next stop is. So it's letting you know all the time, you know what, maybe you shouldn't be doing 75. Drop that down to 70 and you'll get there. And I'm going along and getting closer and closer to Salt Lake City. And then it says, you know what, maybe you should do 65. So I dropped down to 65. Just follow the instructions of the car and it will get you there. I guarantee it.
Maintain speeds below 55 miles per hour to reach your destination.
Right, yeah. That's been my experience too. I've taken several road trips, and because it has all that intelligence in there, it knows where you're going, it knows what your consumption is, it knows the terrain of the road ahead and the weather. And so it makes really smart choices and lets you know exactly, okay, you can't go 70 and get there. You're going to have to go 65 or 60. And yeah, it's to just listen to the vehicle, follow the advice it's giving you, and you'll get there.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, and the whole idea of you want to have some buffer below zero. You don't want to just, zero, it turns off, you're done.
Right.
And every dealer gets to, or car manufacturer gets to make their own decision on how much of that buffer they put in there. And it's to give their customers a great experience. So sure, some vehicle makers are going to make different decisions on that, and they shouldn't be penalized for that in the range that that the EPA advertises. I mean, it's it's the EPA's measurement. However that test is done, that's the EPA's business. And yeah, Tesla's saying this is what the EPA rated us, but it's not Tesla making up a number. It's the EPA running their test on that system with whatever rules they have.
Yes, they can all, at least all the Teslas can go past zero, but the question is how far can you go? And the fact that it's not already not consistent between cars, it's not consistent in the same car on the same update in the same conditions. So I think
really
this is bad advice.
They can't publicize anything, really, can they?
Right.
They can't say that you've got 10 miles below zero. They can't really say anything like that because, of course, conditions could be different. You might only get 7.5.
Right.
And if someone's depending on that 10, then they're going to be really upset that they don't get it.
Especially when Tesla won't pay for the tow, or the tow is not long enough.
Your mileage may vary.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
it could be 8 years later, and you're still hoping you get that 10, but
Yes.
you may not get that 10 anymore.
Correct.
So they can't publish a number, but it's also bad, kind of, that Tesla says, well, the EPA is using the beyond zero number as well. Like it's a double-edged sword for Tesla, I would say, in this situation.
Well, it's worse than that, because had I taken that advice in my Model S before the battery got swapped, I couldn't get 8 miles above zero without risking it. I parked it at 20 and got back out of the store at 14 and then drove out of the parking lot. It's not a very large parking lot, and it was down to 6. And yeah. So they said, yeah, we'll charge it back up, and we'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you supercharged 80%, and we'll see you there. It's like, all right, I'll be there.
So you just had a battery balance problem, or what was that?
They didn't tell me, but it was enough that they wanted to at least refurbish it, and then instead of refurbishing it, because of the distance from me to the supercharger and back each time, they told me to just hang on to it. So I got a new battery instead of my own refurbished.
Okay. So to answer the question, Casey, you've gone down to zero.
Several times.
Okay, a few times.
Oh yeah, in both cars.
Okay. Patrick, what about you?
I think 6 miles is the lowest that I've been, and that was on a trip to Southern Oregon in December, and it said I wasn't going to make it and that I had to slow down, so I slowed down, and then you could see that range when you get to your destination creep back up.
Yeah.
And I got back up to like 8 miles, and then I was like, oh, okay, I know I'm going to make it. I can drive a little faster, and so I came in with 6 miles. There's a supercharger in Grants Pass there in Southern Oregon, and so it was not a problem. We rolled in there with 6 miles to go, and supercharged, and had a lot of fun down there. Went to the Oregon Caves and to Crater Lake, and yeah, it was good times.
So all of us have had other cars besides Tesla with batteries. I've taken the Volts, both of them below zero a few times. Have you, Mark?
Oh, definitely, because there's no penalty with the Volt.
Oh, no, I did
Yeah,
it.
range extender.
I did it the bad way. I ran out of gas and then drove the battery past zero.
Okay.
Ooh.
On purpose, but yeah.
No, I had no problem with the Volt because obviously
You don't let it
you've
run out
got
of
that-
gas.
you got some gas. You've got that extra ability if you needed it, and that's what the car was designed to do. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because there was a study done early with the Volts compared to the Nissan Leafs, and they determined that Volts got more electric drive out of their car than Nissan Leafs because, of course, the Volts didn't have any problem with it running out.
Oh, yes.
Whereas the Leaf, that's the only thing they had was the battery, and they would, of course, not push it as far as Volts. So
Yeah.
it's a little history lesson from the past.
One thing that was fun with that was if you ran it past zero on the battery, whether there was gas in it or not, the next time the gas turned back on, it would run like crazy, even if the battery still had charge in it. Like,
Yeah.
You could have 12 miles on it and it would still run.
Doesn't
like,
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you and the Leaf, Patrick?
I got that down to maybe 5 miles once. I never. There were some people who were battery abusers who were taking it to zero beyond the total mode and all these things. And I'm like, no way. I want this pack. I'm not leasing this car. I bought this car, so I want to keep it in the nice long life zone as much as I could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there would definitely be the difference between leasing and owning when it came to a battery pack in the Leaf, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, on to our next story. This is kind of a surprise. We got a notation from a Pepsi update. PepsiCo has indicated in a company release, as they were talking about sustainability and what they're doing for the planet, in the throes of the number of paragraphs that they've released, they indicated that they were getting 15 TeslaSemis by the end of 2021. So along with their other things that they're doing around different distribution points and such, they are getting the infrastructure built to be able to be handle 15 TeslaSemis. And they actually named Tesla. So this is not like they're getting electric semis. They're actually think that they're getting 15 TeslaSemis in 2021. And obviously, we don't know if that's correct, and that leads to another story that we'll talk about a little bit later in today's program. But this is one of the groups that ordered first, and they obviously, I don't know if they've been told this or if they've been updated, but this is what they're releasing in their governance to Pepsi shareholders and those outside to let us know where they're sitting at in their greening effect that they're running for their company. So we're not sure if this is going to be the amount they get, but they're hopeful that they're going to get them, and we're hopeful they get them too. We would like to see a number of semis on the road this year. Obviously, Tesla is going to be manufacturing. They said they're going to be manufacturing this year, and we hope that they can continue to do so. But this is one of the only customers that have come out and said they believe they're getting delivery this year.
So I wonder if they're getting theirs before, because Tesla said they were going to make quite a few of them for themselves for internal consumption. Have they carved out some of those for Pepsi, or is Pepsi making assumptions, or
I don't know.
Are they making more than they're letting on to? Because Tesla has been sandbagging since the Model Y came out, or since before the Model Y came out.
I would also believe, though, that since Pepsi was an early orderer, as there are a few more larger ones as well. Walmart is in there. Bush is in there. Mm-hmm. Yep. There's certainly going to be groups that are waiting for that truck. It's gone a little bit longer than what they had first thought. They've not received as many updates, possibly, and they want those vehicles. So there's starting to be some pressure, I would believe. Now, whether or not Pepsi has been told anything, or is this just somebody that's releasing, their green plan and letting people know about it, we don't know. Tesla obviously has not commented on this report at all, and we don't expect them to, because this is something released by the company Pepsi only.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see what the mega chargers look like, because those should be getting installed. Even if Pepsi's taking delivery late this year or early next year, those should be getting installed this year, and we'll see what this fancy connector that can deliver 8 times the power is going to look like.
I suspect it will look like the V3 Superchargers, but with a different handle.
Right, yes, the handle that I'm interested in, yeah. I agree. That it will, I think you're right, that V3, they designed it with that in mind, so yeah, it's definitely part of the plan.
I'm curious if it'll have a thicker cable, like maybe somewhere in between the two, V2 and V3, or if it'll be thicker still. I mean, because people who do their own, truck maintenance, at least, in between depot stops, they're used to picking up heavier items than passenger car people.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be liquid cooled.
Oh, yes.
That's one thing I'm sure of. But my guess is it would be thicker. I just can't see them taking possibly 8 times the power without it being a thicker conduit.
Right. But will it be 8 times bigger, or will it be just a little bit?
I think it's going to be a little bit. Maybe they'll double up on it. But
yeah, you can get if you can jack up the voltage and not the current so much, then you don't need as thick of cables. So there are things like that they can do to keep it manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if they only go 4 times bigger.
Yeah, like you said, Casey, they're certainly used to handling larger items when it comes to the trucking industry anyway. So that probably would not be a big deal for them, except for the possibility of extreme cold weather if it gets, tough to move. But other than that, they'll probably adapt to handling components that are larger.
Yeah, hopefully it's still ADA compliant, and I wonder if it'll actually be lighter than the diesel nozzles and hoses.
Could be.
Maybe this is where the snaky snake will roll out.
Yeah!
The mega snake, they'll call that one, right?
He'll change it from stay with friends, pack your lunch, and leave your wallet at home, to pull up, go in, do your business, and come back out.
Oh man. Well, we'll have to see. So we're definitely keeping our eyes open and looking to the other early purchasers as well. See if any of them comment as the year goes along. But yes. We'll definitely keep our eyes on that story. With that, on to our next. And Patrick's got a story about our favorite truck coming.
He beat me to it.
Yeah. Up first. Yeah, so somebody on Twitter asked Mr. Musk if he would tease them with a little bit of Cybertruck info. And he obliged with a tweet saying, "There will be no handles." There is no spoon. What? So this is just a tease, so we don't know exactly what it means. But when they showed the Cybertruck, it had handles. It had handles much like the Model S that presented and then would go flush. And now that it's not going to have handles, there's all kinds of speculation on what that means. So there's at least two things that I've heard.
Let me go.
One of them is that it's going to be a button like the Model X, because technically that's not a handle, it's a button because you don't grab it, you just press it. And that could be the case. And then the other one was that it might be like the Roadster. So in the demos from the Roadster, they've had this capacitive touch on the B-pillar. And I don't think that's going to work very well for a work truck where you might have gloves or dirty hands or other things. Your guess is as good as mine on what the solution is going to be, and we're all very excited to find out what it will be. What do you guys think?
There's a third common possibility. Some folks have suggested something more like the Ford Mach-E. I personally am leaning towards Model X, but which what I held up earlier was the door popper or icebreaker for Model X, right-hand side. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping Model X because, if your hands are full and you got to climb up steps, and it'd be nice if the truck just opened the door for you.
Right.
Well, keep in mind that maybe they will use two solutions, and that's my hope, is that they use something like the Mach-E, where they've got a ruggedized button that's imprinted inside of the B-pillar or somewhere close to it, mm-hmm. that you can actually press if you have gloves on. Mm-hmm. If you can't get a finger loose, you don't have to take a glove off. You could actually press a physical button, and if you have the phone or the card on you, hopefully it would just allow the door to just eject slightly, so you could put your hand and pull it open. That's my hope.
That worked too, but I just love the self-presenting doors. I'd hope to not see them die on Model X.
The only problem I've got with the self-presenting doors is that the possible maintenance as time goes along.
Yeah,
they do wear out. They do have a maintenance factor to them. Mm-hmm. For a truck, I would much rather have the ability of just the eject of the door, and then you pull it open.
That's where this comes in.
Well, that does break the ice. You're right. It does push the door open. I'm fine with that. But I'm just hoping that they are addressing this as the people that are most likely going to own it. Who are the people that are using it, and what are they using the truck for? We can't have a solution, as Patrick said, like for the Roadster, where you have to swipe up the B-pillar with a finger.
Yeah.
Don't think that would work out too well with
the door opener from a bus and put a motor on it. Those things open thousands of times a day.
Yeah, you definitely want something very reliable for a work truck. I mean, you don't build something like a tank from the future and then put very fragile openers on it. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. But someone asked for it, and they got what they asked for. So you people out there in the Twitterverse, keep asking questions because there's going to be some answers. Obviously, you never know who's going to be answered or when they'll be answered, but there's always a chance, and that is fantastic. If you don't know already, you can follow us on Twitter and find out the news throughout the week as it happens. That is at The Tesla Life. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1, which Patrick maintains for us, and we thank him for that. And with that, on to our next story. So remember, probably about 6 months ago now, we talked about the first Model 3 that became a yellow cab in New York City. And there was quite a bit of news about that. There was a few interviews that were done. There were people that were they were calling for the cab and then trying to do interviews with the driver as they were going around the city. So paying him on the meter just so they could film the car and talk to him and get questions answered. Now, apparently, things have been going well at the yellow cab company with the Model 3 because they've expanded the fleet. They now have 4 Model 3s, and they are starting definitely to see the benefits of electric charging within the city and the ability that this actually draws in clients. So they're seeing people asking for the Model 3 to pick them up, as opposed to just any regular yellow cab. They are getting requests where people are asking for a cab, but specifically want a Model 3 cab. Obviously, they can't handle all the requests. New York City is a big city. There's a lot of cabs on the road. And if only 4 of them are Model 3s, then odds are you're not getting one. But that hasn't stopped people from asking for those requests. And this is something that looks good. It looks like this is going to be something that can grow with the New York City Yellow Cab Company, and it certainly is being embraced by the citizens of New York. So fantastic news.
I'm glad to see that they got some 2021s now, but I'm even more excited to see that they actually have fixed their in their wrap. They have fixed instructions on how to work the door handles.
That's right. There's now a couple of arrows saying to open door, press here.
Yeah.
So,
you got a picture of that?
No, I don't.
Stand by.
If we can.
One of the things that I just saw recently I thought was pretty cool was someone had modded their Model 3 so that when they came up and stopped, the door handles would pop out, and then you could just grab it and pull. And they also had LED strips around them. It was pretty cool. So I think for a cab company, a mod like that would be pretty helpful.
Yeah, that would be useful.
There
you go. Push here to open. Now the blue arrows are not what's on the car.
No.
But certainly, that's something, because of course you know for the first time someone drives in a Model 3, a lot of people have no idea on how to open that door. And that, of course, can be a good thing as well, because recently we had a quick story about someone that was trying to carjack a car, and they realized that when they went to grab the driver's side door to pull the driver out, they had no idea how to get into the car.
Yeah.
So they ended up not being able to get in the car. The car sped off and unfortunately took a bullet hole in the back of the car, but at least the driver was unhurt. So that's certainly a plus in that particular scenario.
Yeah.
With that, next story.
This is a fun one.
This comes from Drive Tesla Canada, our friends there. They put together a link, which you will be able to find in our show notes, about the customized sound for the Boombox. For those of you that don't have a Boombox or a Tesla, there is an option now where the Tesla can play sounds outside of an external speaker. And you have the ability to select from a number of predetermined sounds that come with the car, as well as you have 5 slots that you can put in your own sound load them into the car, into those 5 spots, and then you can use those sounds, those customized sounds, for your boombox as well. And the people over at Drive Tesla Canada decided to put together a list of a number of different sounds, which of course popular things like Star Trek doors and things of that nature are now available. So you can of course make your own sounds and import them into the car, which is kind of weird that they're allowing that to happen. I questioned it only because of the fact that there can be a case where, what if you just record a quiet sound or a sound that's not, too prevalent? Is that going to alert a pedestrian? I'm not sure if that's come up with anybody yet, but the sound certainly that Drive Tesla Canada has provided us here, which you can use royalty free, are certainly sounds that would work for warning pedestrians. And just a little fun feature that Tesla's added. And now this group has just grabbed some sounds for you to upload into your custom area.
I'm clicking through these. These are fun. There's one of an ICE engine not being able to start. That would be funny to have your Tesla driving around sounding like an engine that can start.
Yes, indeed. Now, we seem to have lost Casey.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Which I just saw his video went away. So that's kind of weird. But since Casey's helping us with the broadcast,
yeah, you work on Casey, and I'll keep going here on this. I'll just you're right. More people could do a quiet sound if they didn't want to have any noise. That's one way to get around that. And if that's what you want to do, I think it's your vehicle. You have that right. Check with your local ordinance if there's some requirement for it or not. But I don't have the external speaker, so I don't get to have all this fun because the list just goes on and on here. There's all kinds of Star Wars stuff and Monty Python stuff, Super Mario Brothers, some that are pretty insulting. Yeah, HAL 9000, Knight Rider, very very cool stuff. And external speakers on a car, you could get really annoying. So,
yes.
Yeah. Hey, Casey.
Hey, he's back. Okay.
I saw one of the folks in the Maryland Club outdoor physically distanced get together we had that they did the electric slide.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, with that, we'll roll on to our next story, and this is about a milestone that has happened in the Tesla Supercharger world. Actually, 2 milestones happened this week. Elon announced earlier in the week that now 600 Supercharger locations, these are locations, not the individual chargers, 600 locations are now open in Europe. So that is a huge amount that has opened and is now in operation in Europe. And then a little bit later in the week, we had Teslarati come and notice that there are now 1,000 Supercharger locations open in the United States. So huge numbers. And of course, every one of these Superchargers has somewhere between, say, 6 and 10 on average charger stalls at these locations. So, we're talking in some cases in the U.S., we're talking, 8,000, 10,000 actual stalls. So the 1,000 sites, locations is great, but the redundancy at those sites is even better. With typically, I would say on average, if you went across the country, you're probably looking at 8 per site as an average amount. So fantastic that the numbers are continuing to increase. And I just happened to check supercharge.info earlier today and was pleased to see that another group of chargers have just gone online recently in the U.S. I was looking at, and was happy to see that that number continues to grow, and we are hopefully going to not stop with the number of Teslas coming on the road. Certainly, more chargers are needed. Certainly, the current map looks fantastic. Even zooming down into states and regions we're getting a fair amount of coverage. There are holes in certain areas. Some people have pointed out those holes, but as a whole, overall, I think it's fantastic progress.
Yeah, I've got my work cut out for me after the Canadian border opens again.
Gotta go do a few reviews, huh?
Yeah, got a few of them to do here.
And another note, this is just a rumor, but some people believe that Tesla is going to open up the superchargers to other EVs, not manufacturers, not other electric vehicle owners.
Directly.
And the rumor is they're going to allow them to use a Tesla application with their own Tesla account, and with an adapter, they will be able to charge their vehicle at a Tesla supercharger to the vehicle's abilities. And it'll ding that customer directly through the credit card, just as it does with actual Tesla owners. So there's a mixed bag of response to this. Obviously, some people in congested areas, like, say, Southern California, where there never seems to be enough chargers on certain days, those people are saying, oh, don't allow that. Just let them be Tesla owners. Nobody else should be able to use it. Because, of course, some of them on certain days are compressed and they can't get the charge that they want without it being busy. So that hopefully, obviously, it's a problem for some, but for the vast majority of superchargers across the country, they're sitting empty most of the time, and having the ability for Tesla to gain some more revenue from those unused assets would certainly be a plus for the company.
I think this is a great idea, and I hope they do it. What I'd also like to see is offer them a nice discount rate. Higher than what we pay as Tesla owners, but lower than what the competitors charge, because then they can help build the supercharger network as well, and you can still charge them overage fees, and then you don't have to worry about how you get a manufacturer on board, and if they're going to pay back into the system or if they're going to pay going forward, and what the agreement will be, and they don't have to worry about their customers pulling up and seeing Tesla on the screen, and in Europe and in Australia, it'll be really easy because they already have CCS on the cars. And here in the States, hopefully they make not just an adapter for them from CCS to Tesla, but maybe they flip it around a little bit and give us our US CCS adapter for the Teslas.
Yeah, I could see it being a big win if they were just to start manufacturing those adapters, make them, cost competitive.
Maybe they're cost competitive. Sell them for $600, like they do for us Tesla owners for the CHAdeMO adapter and the CCS adapter.
I would hope they would lower it to like $250 or $300.
Yeah, they'd probably do it at the 25% profit margin, and if they're making more of them, because they'll need a lot more of them for the other cars, so now they can lower the cost because they can make a whole assembly line for them rather than get them done from a third-party contractor. And there's probably a commonality with some of the other Tesla adapters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could use those adapters to control how many non-Teslas they allow into the network.
Bingo.
Yeah, do a pilot with 100 adapters, and then see how often they're getting used, and use that to figure out how to make the next 1,000. You could even do them by zip code, like you said. Southern California is pretty congested. Okay, we're not going to sell them in those zip codes for a few months. We're going to sell them in other places until we build out more supercharging there.
Do a reverse Tesla rollout. Start in the Northeast and end up in the Southwest.
There you go, yeah.
Or another
option.
option.
That'd be a great market of people buying them one place, shipping them somewhere else.
Yeah,
another option would be to allow them to just go to a current supercharger that's underutilized, and you install a couple of CCS plugs on 2 of the units, and the other 6 remain just Tesla.
Like they did in Europe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Interesting idea.
That'd be a good way to do it too.
So there's many ways to do this, but certainly I guess if you're traveling and you're going to use the supercharger network, probably the adapter is the best way, because then you're guaranteed that whatever supercharger you go to, you can plug into, and you don't necessarily have to get to one that does not have the capability or is already being used by a Leaf that's there, for example.
Right, and Tesla doesn't have to dedicate some part of their network to other connectors.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would do like with the Mach-E, I forget the protocol for it, the IEEE, where it's got the VIN number when you plug in, so that way it's just like us, it's completely friction-free. The only time you got to think about it is if your credit card expired or for some reason your last payment to Tesla didn't go through.
Right, the plug-and-charge standard.
The plug-and-charge, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. So if the car can actually read the information from the car itself, the serial number or whatever that's attached to the credit card, then of course the user is going to be billed properly, and there's no, playing with some sort of a card or other device to get the charging session going.
Yeah. Oh, but that brings up another point. If the car doesn't already have plug-in charge, then the adapter will come in, because Tesla will obviously be giving their own serial number to the network.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So if that adapter is connected to your account, it could do all that communications protocol.
Yep. And then, so if you got a Mach-E, you're good to go. If you don't got a Mach-E, then adapter.
Right.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds good. So I'm in favor of this because obviously I'm not in southern California, but the superchargers are fairly well used here in my city. If I drive by the supercharger, there's typically someone there all times of the day, not the night, but certainly during the day. But it's not like it's completely packed either. There's typically over half the units are not being used on a typical day.
Yeah, but the way to look at it when you arrive at the supercharger and you see some other brand there successfully charging, isn't to get upset that now there's one less spot for me. You want to think now there's going to be extra stalls installed for me thanks to that guy paying for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the more people that pay for the service, especially an unused asset, the better it is for the company for continuing to build out.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just worried that the other EV makers are now going to be like, we don't have to worry about this at all, and they're not going to put any effort into it and put all that burden on Tesla.
That's fine.
I guess is okay if Tesla figures out how to be profitable by it, but if not, if they're just like, we have to build more and more just to keep our customers happy, and we have this other, I'm sure they're doing all the math. There's got more people there.
Yeah, assuming they've done the math correctly. If they do it wrong, then I'll be upset, because then it becomes a sink instead of a moat.
Yeah, because I had to wait for over an hour to get a stall at the Computer History Museum when I was driving through that area, and it sucked. And then there was another spot in LA where I was waiting, and someone cut in front of me, and I was just like, okay, I don't want to be confrontational. But yeah, it's no fun. You want to just be able to pull in, plug in, go do your thing, come back when it's at whatever 80% or whatever you need, and move on. And having to wait in line, it just was no fun at all.
Hopefully they're quicker at those expansions than they have been in the past, because I've been to a number of East Coast superchargers that had 2, 6, 8 stalls added on just because they were becoming more popular, or they had missed the calculation by a little bit.
Yeah. Well, what's really nice is that since it is controlled by Tesla, they are getting that information immediately. They have all the data to know that, the supercharger's maxed out again. This is the third time this week that it's been maxed out at a 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever.
So build another one just a few blocks down, or expand that one, whichever.
Exactly. And which is what we saw recently on the I-5 in California, in Southern California, between Los Angeles and San Francisco. A number of superchargers went up, a number of large superchargers went up because of the Thanksgiving lines that used to appear on that roadway and the 101. So they're certainly watching, and it's great to see them take a stand and start to knock down that problem in sections that need attention.
I like how you use the local vernacular there.
Well, I was there once. With that, on to our next story. And Patrick, No, it's Casey's got this one, right?
Yeah. So we had a reckless valet wreck a car.
Oh, he's a wreck full.
Wreck full, exactly. And he tried to pull the old autopilot did it, and he lied. And so because of where the owner and the crash happened, when the owner contacted Tesla to ask for the data from the mothership, it was not forthcoming. Had they been in California, Tesla said we would have been glad to do it, but they weren't. So this person paid an EDR specialist. A few weeks ago, like I think a year or more, we talked about the EDR kit that you can purchase from Tesla for, what was it, $6,000? Anyway, this guy paid $1,900 to get his data read. Business opportunity.
Yeah.
And he got the data read and the report generated so he could take it to court that showed that the valet not only was lying about autopilot being active, but also was lying about how he was driving. So the pedal went from several heavy applications on the accelerator and the brake to massive trounce on the lightning pedal. And then the car managed to collide into several other cars and bust a wall out of the parking garage. Thankfully, none of the cars fell through.
Amazing that not only did he hit other cars, but he pushed them through
the wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tesla's got a lot of power. It was a performance model, wasn't it?
It was.
It was. Yeah.
But the on top of all of that, the car said how much he weighed and that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I saw the video on the Wham Bam Tesla channel, so you can look at it there, or you can read the article that we're going to have linked. But and then as the guy continued to pile lie upon lie, the company backed him up rather than saying, "All right, we admit, all right, here's this pay and let's get it done with and get on our way."
Yep. If someone's in trouble and they're driving a Tesla, odds are they're going to blame it on autopilot, even though they're not even using it. It's human nature, unfortunately, especially if they don't own the car. It's going to be, well, I didn't do that. It's not my fault. Car is an automatic car, and it did it for me. So that's not a surprise. We've seen this happen time and time again. And this will most likely continue to happen. But the lesson learned here for me is don't let anyone, and I mean anyone, drive your Tesla. Or, you could put it on valet mode. You could limit them to a certain speed. You could do that. But I don't know. I would not trust a valet with my car whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Won't happen.
Exactly.
If I have to give my car up to a valet to let them park it, I'm not going to that establishment.
That's my preference.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking forward to is what Elon has several times referred to as smart auto park, or what the community refers to as reverse summon, which is kind of a misnomer because reverse summon is classic summon in reverse, which has been there for years. Where the car valets itself, and you don't have to worry about this. But the other thing is, like, any Tesla owner, whether they knew how the thing worked or not, would know immediately the fact that he said it activated without him doing anything in the parking lot, that he's a damn lie, because that's not how autopilot works. You have to specifically turn it on, and it wouldn't have turned on in those conditions unless he had the full self-driving beta, and even then it wouldn't have actually done anything because it would have been confused as to why it was off a public road 30 feet in the air.
And the other thing that people often run to is unintended acceleration. Yeah. Oh, it just accelerated on its own. You don't even have to claim autopilot. You can
he could have done that. It would have been a little more believable.
Yeah, so how long until there's a camera looking at your feet?
There already is. That's how he got the data from the EDR kit. The emergency data recorder.
The car's collecting that data just without a camera, right? It's collecting the data of the pedal pushes and what percentage of pushing that is happening at the pedal itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that usually when people say unintended acceleration, it's unintended because they intended to step on the brake, but they stepped on the accelerator.
Right.
Which seems like, how could you make that mistake? But
I could make
Revisionist
that
History,
mistake.
Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, they did an extensive one on this exact phenomenon around Toyota, when a lot of people were claiming this problem with the Prius. And they even played a 911 call where someone had that stomped on the accelerator. They were driving down the street. They called. They were like, "What's going on? I don't know how to stop it." And
Been neutral.
they ended up going through an intersection and getting killed.
Ooh.
And the 911 operator didn't even understand, like, what are you talking about? And so obviously they got some training, because to have one of the things that I found interesting is that the problem is you think your foot's in one place but it's in another, and without feedback from it, you would just keep pressing.
Yeah.
And so if you ever get in this situation, take both feet off, use your left foot, which is not something you would normally do, and step on the brake, because obviously your right foot is not getting the right angle. And they talk to sports people about how your body can get this, and how it even happens to athletes when they have off days and other things. It was a fascinating study. So I think this Valet person there's no way they would have intended to slam on the accelerator. So they probably were going for the brake, hit the wrong pedal, and then they just tried to CYA and lied to get out of it, or they really believed that it was the car's fault, because in their mind, they stepped on the brake.
Yeah, this driver did have a limp, but we don't know if it was from before or after the crash. But if you do ever find yourself in this situation in a Tesla or another car, like Patrick said, take both feet off the pedal. You can shift it to neutral.
Yep.
If the car has a power button, just hold it down, or if it's got a key, turn the key off. And in the case of Tesla and others, you can hold down the park button, and that will apply the park brake. And if it's got a lever, pull the park brake. I don't know if that's necessarily the first way to go about it, but if the car is not slowing down enough after you remove the pedals and have time to figure it out, there is the emergency brake is for that. It's designed to slowly bring the car to a stop. It doesn't have ABS, so you don't want to do that if it's slippery conditions.
Yep, he's safe out there.
Yep. Well, with that, I happen to be out around my region this weekend, and I was walking down a popular street in Waterloo region, and something caught my eye out of the corner of my eye, and it was stunning. I stopped and looked and gave it a double look, because the color was so unique. It was amazing, and I've got a photo that I will share with you guys here. And we'll just put that up on the screen, if I can get the screen share working. Here we go. We're sharing. And it was a Model 3 that was parked on the side of the road, but it was this kind of light blue-green color, almost like a robin egg. Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
And it was stunning. It looked really good to me. Some people say the color was blah, but you can also see that it's got the turbine-like gray wheels. Mm-hmm. And with the combination of the robin egg color, man, it was a showstopper. I saw many people around me stopping and taking a double take of this vehicle, because it was so unique. And it was just it was extremely noticeable when you were walking on either side of the street. And I was so impressed, I took a couple photos.
Yeah, it was well executed, and I thank you for sharing that.
But that was quite the color combination. If someone said to you, "We're going to paint your car robin egg blue," I would say no. But after seeing this, I was like, yeah, it's a good choice. With the chrome still on it, it looked good. It looked like
complement each other well.
An impressive
I don't think I would get it
color.
personally, but it is nice. You don't want your car to look like everybody else's when you walk into the parking lot and you're like, okay, which one is mine?
Well, with just 5 colors, it's really easy to change it.
Yeah. Do you think this is painted or a wrap?
I think it's a wrap.
I think it's a wrap. Yeah. I didn't go up and touch it, which you should not do anyways.
Don't touch other people's cars.
I would warn people, do not touch other people's cars ever. But just for the what's available in wraps now, I would say that this is probably a wrap. It's certainly less expensive to do a wrap as well.
And so Trent Thomas says it looks like a classic car color to him.
Oh yeah,
very, very good.
Yeah.
You can see some 60s Stingrays in this color or something.
Yeah. Cadillacs.
Yep. Cadillac convertible.
Oh yes. It already has the skylight for it.
Exactly. So yeah, that was so impressive. I thought I'd take a few photos and share with the group.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk a little bit about again the TeslaSemi. We said we'd get back to the story.
Yes.
And what we wanted to touch upon is that we don't know if Pepsi's getting those 15 trucks because Elon keeps telling us that the problem with the Semi, the only problem with the Semi, is battery production, is the ability to get enough batteries, 500 kilowatts in some cases, into the chassis of Semi, and of course do that in volume, have many trucks built. So Elon talked again just this past week about this battery constraint that they're under. And what we failed to mention previously is we know they're making the 4680s in that test facility in Fremont. And we're going, what are they doing with them? Where are they stacking them? How are they, they've been making them since Battery Day, we believe, or some iteration of them. But what I failed to remember is that, of course, Gigafactory Berlin is going to need a lot of them for Model Ys as well.
Yes. They're probably all on a ship.
Berlin has no battery manufacturing ability out of the gate. So that means they've got to get shipped these batteries and install them into the cars.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're Tesla, you can build a bunch of Model Ys at a minimum of, $40,000? Or you could build 5 Model S Plaids, or you could build one semi-truck at $160,000. Which would you do if you already don't have enough batteries?
Yeah.
Right. I think they're going to put some of those into semis just to get some tests out there. But you're right that when you're constrained, you put in the things that are higher margin.
Yeah, Coach DA says that they're sandbagging. And I think I agree, because they've been sandbagging since before Model Y came out, and this would be on brand. Yeah,
I love that. It's so much better to over-deliver than under-deliver, so I hope that's true.
Absolutely. And we've seen, we don't have an article on it for this week, but we've seen spy shots of, was it Giga Texas, that had a separate line getting placed for the semi-shakedown build before they go ahead and put it into the big building. Kind of like we saw with Model 3, but instead of being inside the main building, off to the sides, they can tweak it to heart's content.
Yep, there is some speculation on that, absolutely. So, well, we hope that they will build them. We certainly want a number more of test ones out there. And, of course, Pepsi's hoping they're getting 15. So we will have to see as time goes along. But we'll be keeping our eye on that story as the weeks and months progress.
Absolutely.
Next, Patrick's got a story about a partnership that could possibly happen again.
That's right. So there's a rumor, and I want to stress this is just a rumor, that Tesla and Toyota might partner again. So if any of you remember the early days, way back when, Toyota had a RAV4 EV. This is during the 90s, early 2000s, and it was one of the most popular EVs from that era. And so when Tesla got started, Toyota wanted to bring that vehicle back, and they partnered with Tesla to bring that to market. So Toyota built the what do you call it? The Cruiser, the something without a drivetrain, and then Tesla took it from there. So now there's this rumor that they might work together again, and this comes from a South Korean newspaper, and so through several translations, and there's a lot of questions about it's currently only single sourced. and there's nothing official from Toyota or Tesla, so take it all with a grain of salt. They're talking about Tesla doing the software, but not the batteries, which I thought was an interesting twist and didn't really add up. Except, well, as we just said, Tesla's battery constrained, so maybe they want Toyota to find some other source for that. So, yeah, here it is with this rumor. The rumors. This is how the $25,000 vehicle could come to market through this partnership, and that would allow Tesla and Toyota to roll out an affordable EV. Maybe it's just for the Chinese market. Maybe it's just for Europe. Again, there's way more unknowns than knowns about this story.
It's plausible. It's unlikely, but plausible. I mean, it's not like Toyota doesn't know how to build an electric car. They make one with instead of putting a battery pack in it, they put half a battery pack in a hydrogen tank. So,
right. So if they wanted to if they wanted to do a compliance car and put most of the burden on Tesla, and for them to be able to get the car credits without actually buying them, this might be one way to do that.
Or it could be like where Ford and Toyota both independently designed something, and rather than pay the license fee, they just or rather than work around it because of the time to market, they paid Toyota a license fee. So maybe Toyota's going to pay Tesla a license fee, and accelerate themselves into market, because the fact that they don't have any pure EVs in the market at the moment does have them starting behind the curve. But if they buy from the best, then they can continue on.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen.
Probably not.
It seems like a long shot. This would seem more plausible if it was 3 years previous to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point that Tesla has built a number of successes under its belt. I think they would be very hard to work with another automaker calling some of the shots. I think that they would be...
They didn't like it last time.
They didn't like it when they didn't have the money. So imagine now that they have the money, they've done the thing correctly. I could just imagine them saying, no, we're not listening to you because you don't know what you're talking about. We've already been through this several times, and we, with our track record, have shown that we know what we're doing. So I just think it's improbable that this would be something that would happen. It's not completely unrealistic, but certainly it's improbable at this point in time. But it is interesting to run these thoughts through your head. But what's really nice is, of course, Toyota's ability to mass produce quickly. They have the facilities around the world, every continent, and they have a lot of assets to put to bear on something. And that would be a plus for Tesla in this type of situation. But we'll have to wait and see, but I just think that this is a rumor and an exercise that probably is not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is the one time where we don't need to make a bet and write it down on the whiteboard. Yeah, the RAV4 Tesla Toyota deal. There's been several articles about how there was this massive culture clash between those two companies because they have radically different ways of doing things, and I don't think they. When Tesla partnered with Daimler and Toyota in the past, it was because they were desperate for cash. And so that was one way for them to sell their technology and get products out there and get some revenue. And yeah, they don't have that problem anymore. So I see no reason that this is the route that they would take, either of them.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a pretty popular topic in the chat.
What's everybody think?
They agree with us.
Okay. Yeah. It might just be another case of an April Fool's joke that slipped out a little too early.
It could be.
Yeah,
Volkswagen, if you will.
Could be.
Yes, yeah. We might talk about that.
Volkswagen. Exactly. Our last story of the evening, talk a little bit about SpaceX and Elon's tweets recently about him wanting to convince you, that's right, you, to move to Spaceport, Texas. So Elon had put a number of tweets out there that he was investing $30 million, 10 in the local downtown, $20 million in the school board. They need engineers, they need technicians. they need thousands of new employees, and he wants people to move to it's Brownsville, I believe, is the outlying community, as well as, of course, what he's calling Spaceport or Boca Chica. So many Chica, sorry. You can call it whatever you want if you move there, but
call it home.
But certainly he's putting on a push, needs people. And then later on, the next day, he also tweeted about thousands of jobs for people in Austin for the new Gigafactory in Texas. So he's becoming an Indeed board himself because he's got millions of followers. He certainly is reaching out to them and asking them to join. And in other SpaceX news, the SpaceX Starship launched, of course, recently the other day, and I was surprised. I was surprised they launched in complete fog conditions. And of course, once it got up to its 10-kilometer height, things were certainly clear and looked wonderful. And it started to come back down. And apparently, before it landed, it went boom in a big way. And what was kind of interesting was to see, again, the landing pad, the launch/landing pad, was completely enveloped in fog. And when the Starship blew up, all of a sudden these parts started to rain down on the site, hitting even a camera that was filming what was going on. So that was kind of interesting to watch. But that's some SpaceX news that have been happening this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this time it did slightly worse than the one before it. It blew up on the way down. About a kilometer up is when they lost signal. I didn't see the like you said, it was all foggy. So the only camera view that I could see was the one from inside near the engines there. And
doing really poorly.
And then they said that they were switching control at 1 kilometer, and then just we've lost signal.
Never a good sign.
No,
we've lost signal. And there was this muffled noise that happened all of a sudden once they lost signal, and then the parts started to rain down. So, not a successful landing again. So that, of course, was SN11, and SN15 will be the next rocket that will be going up, and that is. Obviously, they dropped the other ones in between because they needed the changes that S15 was bringing to the table.
Over 100 changes.
We are hoping that they're going to nail the landing because it's been it's amazing that they build so quickly, put a rocket up there, collect the data. They're obviously getting useful data. That's why they're doing this. But it just seems kind of weird that they go up, explode. They come down, they explode, they fall over. Like all sorts of crazy things are happening.
Insult its mother, explode.
And if
wind, explode.
and if you were looking back at the space race of the previous era, back in the 60s and 70s,
just like this,
it wasn't quite like this. They didn't have 12 units waiting that were being built and just shot off.
Fair enough.
One after another every week. It's a different way of iteration, and certainly it's something that allows them to be quick and nimble, which the previous space program was unable to do at all.
Yeah, this is how I write software. You write a few, you compile it. Does it work? Let's test it. Maybe it blows up, maybe it doesn't. But they're applying this to much bigger items.
That's how I do my scripts.
Exactly. Yeah. So interesting stuff. Never a dull moment, certainly.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep up on what's going on, please follow us on Twitter at The Tesla Life, as well as our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1. And now that we're nearing the end of this show, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. That helps us in the algorithm. It gets us in front of more eyes, and it's a way you can support the show with no cost to you whatsoever. And if you haven't subscribed already, please press that subscribe button, and that helps us out immensely as well. With that, we'll go to Mr. Connor and ask if he's got any shout-outs for the end of the show.
I do. So, as regular listeners know, I blog at carswithcords.net. And speaking of fast iteration, I have an article that just posted yesterday about Tesla's methods, SpaceX, all the companies in the Muskoverse, and how fast iteration is what allows them to be innovative. They use this atoms up thinking that other companies don't use. They're not just trying to make a small tweak to get 5 or 10% better. They're trying to reimagine the entire thing. And that means you have to tolerate failures, because if you're trying to do something no one else has ever done, you can't expect it to work the first time. And so they have a very different model, very different methods, and get very different results. So if you want to check, if you find that interesting, it's carswithcords.net. I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find this at oeva.org. Thanks, Mark.
Very good, very good. Mr. Green, any parting words from you tonight?
Oh, I've got a few. There was only one question that stood out in the chat that I don't think I addressed yet. Trent Thomas had asked us what we think of the new current administration's plan on unions, hydrogen, and the 10K EV incentive. Do we want to address that today, or do we want to bring it back next week?
I think we'll bring it back next week so we have time to think about it.
All right. I've got it.
It's good. That's the one I can tell you right now.
That part I like. That part I like. So I've got a couple videos up on youtube.com/KCGreen. That's KACEYGREEN, where including I went back and took a blast from the past and did my first time on the track. I did the second session where the car was low on battery. It started at 30%, and top speed was 124. A couple folks were making fun of me for going slowly in the turns. I was exceeding the speed limit in a lot of the turns. You be the judge. And it was an interesting watch. And then later on, I've got my very first time on the track. That one I thought was less exciting because I was going slower. But that one will be going live sometime this week. And thanks for watching.
Very good, very good. Now, I'm going to mention this because you're still watching, and you must be a fan of the show if you're still watching at this point in the show. Our 200th show is coming up in just 5 more shows. So what we wanted to propose is, if you're out there, enjoy the show, and would like to be on the show with us with a camera that works and with a microphone that works, send us an email note. No, better yet, send us a tweet, a DM. Let us know that you would like to participate in a 200th show and that you've got the equipment and can participate for a 7 p.m. show on a Wednesday and 7 p.m. Eastern. And we will allow the first 3 people that respond with that information, and we will set you up. But again, you have to have a camera that works. You have to have a microphone that works. You've got to have high-speed internet and the ability to be available on a Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern for an hour. So that's what we're going to do for our 200th show. We're going to have some guests. We're going to do the same news stuff. We're going to talk to the guests and allow them to tell us, interact with the show, and of course maybe even take one of the stories and run with it and find about their situation and how they got involved with the world of Tesla. So out there, send us in those DMs. It's going to be the first 3 that can match that criteria. So send us a DM through our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, and we look forward to hearing from you shortly. With that, we'll roll the music, and we want to thank Lee Moon for the music that we use every week, and we will reach out and talk to you next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla Life. Good night, everybody.